Welcome to another round of the Twisted Metal Tournament. This time we'll be driving another vehicle that made its debut in Twisted Metal Black, Brimstone. Hideous old El Camino with stained glass windows and wooden crosses nailed to it, which means it can be driven by none other than the madman who attempted to punish Sweet Tooth, the evangelist known only as Preacher, or at least that's all Sweet Tooth knew him as. Let's find out just how he ended up here.
The Lord does work in mysterious ways. He giveth and he taketh away. So it was with my freedom. In my years alone in that dark place, I would often hear a voice calling to me from within.
You are my chosen one, Jebediah. You are my child, here to do my bidding.
Truly, I believed there would be no escape from the demon inside me. I wasn't even a real preacher. I was an evangelist, rejected by the church. I didn't have the strength to fight the demon alone. But one day, I was given a chance for salvation. His name was Calypso. He came to me with a proposition. If I won his contest, he would reveal the truth. It had been 2 years since the beast had entered my mind, controlling my actions, making others believe I was responsible for those killings. But now I had a second chance. I accepted the offer willingly. All I had to do was win, and a path back into the light would be opened unto me.
Well, from the look of things, Jebediah may be the most psychologically broken character we've seen yet. He's right about one thing, though. This leg of the contest is going to be brutal. Take note that, once again, we are on level 3. It's because the highway loop is an optional level that you can play instead of the downtown level. And they usually do a pretty good job of making optional levels similar to one another. So this is going to play somewhat like the downtown level did, but with one huge difference. And we've just leapt over it. That broken bridge is going to be to our advantage, and if we're not careful, to our detriment throughout this level. Also note that there are 8 opponents here. It's a very, very small area, just like the downtown was. So they definitely expect us to take advantage of the little wrinkle they've added. I'm tempted to do so now by jumping over the broken bridge over and over again. With Darkseid in hot pursuit, there's a chance she might miss that jump. That's what I'm hoping for. But I'm not really counting on it, so I'm just going to beat the hell out of her. Happen to be well armed enough to have done significant damage. It's also a pretty good idea to camp the bridge because there's 2 health pickups that spawn here. Ah, and Junkyard Dog has done me the favor of demonstrating what happens when you fall off the bridge. Instant death. Works the same for you as it does for the opponents, of course. We're going to get used to that as we travel into the later levels of this game. This is the first introduction of it, and this can certainly make this level unplayable for beginning players. You definitely want to skip this level and do the downtown instead until you're very, very familiar with this game. Of course, later on, there will be levels where it's not an option. Now, of course, we can't just rely on every single opponent to kill themselves for us. And since we're still obscenely outnumbered, we're going to have to rely on skill-based pickups to do a lot of our damage. It's really the only way to kill enemies fast enough that they won't kill you back. As such, since skill-based pickups are actually pretty difficult to use, hopefully you've had enough practice to master them by now. That's another thing that makes this level much more difficult than the downtown level. And really any other level we've seen thus far. Larger vehicles tend to handle the near-constant onslaught of opponents in this level much better than the smaller ones do. So I've actually made a huge mistake combining this level with this character. But with careful use of energy attacks, maybe I can make it through. That clearly was not a very good use of the invincibility energy attack. Not really comfortable calling it an attack since it's defensive, as are many of the energy moves. But that's what the game calls them. The invincibility attack involves 4 directional inputs. It's left, left, down, down, which not only steers you off course while you're inputting it, it also makes you slow down because you're pressing back twice. And the directional inputs also control your movement. So it's pretty inconvenient, but it can help you survive. As can the recharge station. We only get 1 recharge in this level. As if it weren't difficult enough. Really ramped it up to pretty ridiculous levels. This level can really sneak up on you if you choose it all willy-nilly. I usually do play this level, just because the downtown is my least favorite level in the entire game. Even though it is a pretty good level, downtown, as you've seen, not all that bad of a level, but it's by far the most bland, and therefore I prefer this much more action-packed level. And because of the instant death possibilities, usually goes very, very fast, whether or not you're victorious. Case in point, Shadow just destroyed herself. So we've turned the tides in our favor very quickly. One thing I failed to mention previously about the reticle is that it only charges while an enemy is in sight, which is to say, under the actual reticle of the reticle attack. So it's ridiculously difficult to use in this level. I recommend not even attempting to use the reticle. Now, clearly trying to do something very specific here. You notice that one of those gas tanks was exploded. That's something to keep in mind for a little later. For now, though, you're more than welcome to be awestruck by my semi-intentional use of the environmental kills. Of course, we can't rest on our laurels, gotta go back on the hunt. Manslaughter needs a dozen more bombs thrown into him. Now that, clearly, is the perfect use of the invincibility and of our special, which is to launch a fanatical devotee of Preacher's evangelism onto an enemy vehicle, which they will then suicide bomb, which surprisingly was not cut out of the UK release. Now, a huge drawback of that special is that you can't fire anything else until the little man explodes, which leaves you a sitting duck for a couple of seconds, plus having that delay between when it hits and when it actually does damage. It's just begging for the enemy to go invincible in that time frame. It can be very inconvenient. Now there's also the matter of the writhing body chained up in the back of the El Camino, that of someone unwilling to join Preacher's cult, making Brimstone morbid to the point of silliness. And here we see our secret for the level. Hitting the second gas can, sets it free, sends it on a warpath. Now you gotta be very, very careful here, not only because if you jump into the water you die, also because if any vehicle touches or shoots that gas can, it explodes. And you do not open this secret hole in the wall of the tunnel. Down here, a whole bunch of weapons. Since you have to be low on enemies just to get in here, pretty much guarantees your victory. And also gets you the black cube. Since we're so well armed, time to go on the hunt. Just about done with this incredibly difficult level. And trust me, it took me a lot of tries to get through it. Despite the fact that I've got quite a bit of health and a second life left to lose. I'm basically saying God couldn't sink this ship. And there's one final energy attack we haven't seen. The ability to go invisible. Does very little to distract AI opponents. It's mostly for actual multiplayer with other people. But we don't really need that advantage because we've won the day. If we were to carry on ahead up to that bridge we've crossed a few times, we'd find that it's possible to leap off of the broken railing to another environmental instant death. However, it's virtually impossible to trick the AI into doing that to themselves, so really you're just hurting yourself if you try to take advantage of that. Those road signs up ahead indicate that the next left would take us back from whence we came. Certainly won't be doing that now that we've earned an audience with Calypso, but we ain't going anywhere until I've heard a little more about that demon.
When a man is lost in darkness, it is wondrous indeed how his mind will find shelter in memories of the past. I thought back to that fateful night. I had been approached by a young couple who brought to me their child. I was to perform one of my most important duties, an exorcism. But the beast was too powerful, even as I ministered to the child. The demon brought its foul influence upon me and entered my mind. My soul was trapped. All I could do was cry out inside as I tore that church apart. The demon's hatred raged all around, killing everyone in the church. Countless millions of years it had been hounded by the warriors of God, and now it was going to make me pay.
Open up in there! This is the police!
And then the creature abandoned me, right when I needed it the most.
Get your hands in the air! Do it! Do it now!
Every waking hour since, I've feared the demon. But now I have a second chance. When I win this contest, I know the Lord will welcome me back with open arms.
Sounds like sometimes you gotta make a deal with the devil to get closer to God. I think Jebediah's handled the guilt for long enough, though. Let's find out if Calypso is a better exorcist than he was.
The contest was mercifully at an end. I had triumphed over the darkness. I visited Calypso. It was time for him to prove my innocence and clear my name. And yet, he seemed hesitant. I made no promise to clear your name, he said. I only promised to show you the truth. And the truth, he said, was that the demon wasn't real. The voice inside me was a figment of my imagination. My God, it was all in my mind. The exorcism? It wasn't an exorcism at all. It was simply a baptism. It was Judgment Day in that church, and I was the angel of death. The truth had been delivered indeed, but not by God, but by Calypso. He was right. I was, as they say, insane. My whole life I'd been trying to silence that voice. I even performed rituals to show my loyalty to God in hopes that He would save me. But nothing worked. A man cannot hide from himself. There is only one path before me.
Well, that has to be the least surprising ending in this game. Only person Preacher had fooled with that demon story was himself. Also, it seems kind of odd to me that he has no particular recollection of the time that he cursed Sweet Tooth, and even more odd that he very clearly killed Billy Ray Stillwell and his wife before the events of the game. Both of those add up to pretty serious plot holes, plus I always find it disappointing when I make it all the way through the game just to have my character die anyway. Of course, this ending's not a total loss. It's been years since I first saw it, and I've still never gotten the image of that auto-crucifixion out of my mind. So that's another wish granted, and a very special challenge awaits our next contestant.